You're listening to the Drumming News Network. The Drumming News Network is a daily news site focusing on the interests of drummers with new product release information, artist updates, and much more. In essence, all things drums, keeping even the busiest of people up to date. DrummingNewsNetwork.com.
All right. So, Vinny, thank you so much for taking the time. We're talking in support today of your new band, Screamtaker. Obviously, I have a whole bunch of additional questions to do with drums and drumming and your history. So, just wondering if you talk to us a little bit about that new CD.
There's the CD. I finally got a copy.
How long did that take?
You know, you record a record and then you don't have any copies of it. They did the remaster on Dio, Holy Diver. I didn't have that. And now I'm doing all these interviews. How do you think it sounds? I said, I have no idea. That's like buy it on Amazon, you know. So,
you're talking about reissues. Just out of interest, a while ago, they reissued Strange Highways, that live DVD of your performance back with Dio in '93, I think it was.
Oh, really?
You haven't seen the Blu-ray of that?
Of the whole album?
What was actually a live concert you did in London?
Was I on it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Was you, Tracy, Jeff Pilson?
Yeah. I don't know where they find this stuff, but most of the band doesn't know.
I'll send you a link.
Doing anything. Hope it sounds good.
Oh, it sounds phenomenal. I love that record. And I think,
really?
as a player, it kind of seemed like a big change in your playing at that time when you played in that band, that in World War III.
The Strange Highways, yeah, I played more open on that album.
Mm-hmm.
We got a big, giant drum sound on it with Mike Frazier, I think, produced it.
Okay.
And when it's that big, you can't play a lot of fast stuff. It gets a bit cluttery. So I approached it a little bit different. Then the next album, which was Angry Machines, I never realized that I listened to some tracks a couple of weeks ago. It's like a progressive album. It's like, holy shit. Like, wow, times changes and stuff. It was very interesting, really tight as well. But it didn't sound like Dio, it was for me, it was just not the Dio sound. It was more of a Dio progressive sound. So.
Right, yeah. It was still a phenomenal record. And the Last in Live, a great era. But they're also re-releasing Heaven and Hell and what was it again?
Mob Rules.
Yeah, Mob Rules. And that's coming out next month.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of releases coming out, man.
I don't have that one either.
Yeah, you buy it in the store.
It's amazing that this stuff has lasted all these years.
Yeah.
That's what amazes me. It's like right now, this year, and what's happening is like the Dio Sabbath thing's peaking.
Mm-hmm.
We had the movie just come out. People are emailing me about the movie. I just came off doing a couple of shows with Last in Line, and everybody's going to see the movie, or they saw the movie, and the records are selling. And Rainbow in the Dark was used in Thor 4 at the end of the movie.
Okay.
In the credits, they used Rainbow in the Dark, and then in the things on Netflix, kids wearing a Geo jacket, back denim jacket. It's got the Dio thing on it. So it's like, wow.
Right.
Who would ever thought 40-something years later, this stuff is still happening? It's great.
It's phenomenal.
Thanks to some really loyal fans and great people and fans, and amazing.
Well, you mentioned Last in Line on the 11th of November. You're coming out with a Day in the Life EP. Where can people get that?
They can get it on our website or my site, Vinny Appice Facebook, Vinny Appice official Facebook. There's a link there where you can pre-order the EP. The EP contains the song we did. We recovered a Beatles song, A Day in the Life,
mm-hmm.
and we just wanted to do something different, and so we did that. And there's 2 live tracks on the EP, and then there's a new song that's going to be on the album as well. A new song's called Hurricane Allah, and it's really, really cool. And the live tracks are great. I think they're from Europe. So it's a nice EP. It's got nice artwork on it and the whole bit. And I think different color vinyls too, if you
Hmm.
get the vinyl. So that's coming out November 11th.
Do you think it makes more sense in this day and age for artists to record an EP or one song at a time versus a whole record, in your opinion?
That depends if the whole record's good. Like, believe it or not, this record, we didn't make much plan. This just happened. And if you listen to the whole thing, it's some really good songs on there. And so if the songs are good throughout the whole record, then people like to have all the songs in one go. So I'm old school, so I would say that I would go with the full CD thing.
Hmm. How did the
EPs used to be meant for just we're not ready for the album yet.
mhm.
We had an EP Dio intermission, and that came out, and it's kind of to kill the time in between albums almost.
Right? Tell me how the Project Scream Taker came together.
Well, so anyway, so Jim Crean, he sang with us on some of the live shows Carmine and I did.
Hmm.
And what that's all about is we call it Drum Wars, and we have two drum sets on stage, and we have a band, and we play all the music from our history
Hmm.
and some drum bits in between, some little battles and stuff. But it's more of a rock show. It's not a drum clinic. It's not a drum show. That's so much uh, to say. And one show we met Jim Queen, and we really liked him, and he looked weird. He looked scary, and he sang great. So then he started singing with us on all the shows. So we used him all the time. Then I played on he did a solo record. I think he did two solo records, and I played on uh, a lot of both of them. And so
Okay.
did Karma. So, so we're always in touch. And then Jim said he's working with this musician, Stefan Hound from France. He's a guitar player, really talented guy, plays keyboards. And they were working on some tunes, and then he started playing them for me. So we all put our heads together. And it was just like, let's do a couple of songs. So we did, and it came out really, really good. And so we kept doing it until we had 12 songs. I don't know what's on there, 11 or 12 songs. And then his friend owns Deco Records. Was that it? Deco? What the Deco? And and he wanted to release it. So
Hmm.
we came to an agreement, and we got some artists to do the artwork. I came up with the idea, maybe like the 50s kind of screaming horror movies and stuff like that. And then the name just came. They wanted to call it Vinny Appice Screaming. I don't like to be called anything. I'm a team player. I like to be in the band.
Okay.
It's more mysterious. I don't like Vinny Appice Scream. Like, I'd rather not do that. So we did Scream, and somehow Taker got in there. And I said, well, that sounds good. And so this came together very naturally and very organic. We just built it up. And now, we're doing press. We hope to maybe do some dates next year,
Okay.
because the album is getting some good reviews and people liking it. And I recorded the drums here,
Oh,
which is
really?
great. They're really raw. I get a good drum sound here. I know what I want to hear. Um, and I'm able to really get into the songs because I'm running the software from a wireless keyboard back there.
Okay.
So I listen to stuff. I go, I mean, like last night I was recording a song to this for this friend, and I must have spent 35 minutes on just a 2-bar intro with the drums.
Hmm.
Boom, boom, boom. 1-bar intro. I go, that doesn't work. I try all stupid things, and let me try this. Let me try, and then finally something will hit.
Hmm.
But it's great. I have that control in the
Right.
studio. Somebody would be behind the glass, and I'd be going, let me do it again. Let me do it again. Let me do it again. And sometimes the mistakes work.
Right.
play something. Oh shit, messed it up. And then I listen. I go, you know what? That's really cool. It's something I wouldn't do because it was a mistake. There's a bunch of mistakes. There's on every album I've done. There's been a mistake.
So what's the most
Where-
universal mistake that people think you did purposely?
You know what? I have to review it.
Okay.
But on this, on the last in line, the album coming out, there's a break. The band stops, and I was going to play all the way through it when they stopped, and instead they stopped, and I started on the end,
Mm.
and I didn't want to do that, but I thought I could fix it, but we never got to fixing it. And then I thought, well, this is kind of weird, kind of more of a unique thing, you know. But there's stuff throughout all these albums that that's why you got to be open to ideas, you know.
Right. Can you tell me a little bit about your recording setup? What are you using at home so you can actually do these? Because your drums sound amazing on the records. I had no idea you were actually doing that.
Fuck yeah. What I was doing, I'm using these, what are these guys? These are Shure. I don't know. Let me put the light on for Shure. PGA 56.
Okay.
These are on the toms. This little guy. Sometimes I'm not crazy about putting them on the rims because you got to figure when you hit that drum, there's vibrations as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's working. But the last tom on here is a 16, and let's see if I can put any light on these drums. So I got that going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Weird because this is backwards. You can't really see.
It's actually okay on my end, though.
Yeah, as you see, there's overheads. Those are Samson. 2 condenser mics. There's one on this side. And then I'm just running, where can I get that? Back there, there's 2 Focusrite units.
Okay.
That's it. 16 inputs. And then on the bass drum, I got one of these low sub bass mics. And I got the head on, and then inside the bass drum, if you could see that, there's a 91 flat mic.
Okay.
That's what that set up. And these are Sawtooth Drums, which is my friend's company. He has a big online business selling all sorts of musical instruments and stuff.
Okay.
And I got drums everywhere. There's drums up there. There's drums over there. And that's only some of them. The rest of them are in the garage. I had to start getting rid of some of this stuff. Crazy. So that's what I use. And then I got 2 AKG room mics back here. Those are condenser mics as well.
Okay.
And I just know what I want to hear. I want the drums to just be bam, you know. A lot of times I go in the studio and they mic the drums with, you know, 4 mics on the bass drum and all these mics, and it's like it still sounds tame to me, you know. And this is, I'm just getting a really good sound in here. And then the guy who mixed the album, Marty Dillon, really has a knack for drums, and he left them pretty raw. You know, I told him he was gating them a little. I said, no, let them ring a little bit. You know, that's fine. Years ago, they didn't really use gates, you know, on the old Zepp albums and all that shit. So that's the trick to recording. It's knowing what you want it to sound like first.
Okay.
And then getting the sound, you know, because a lot of guys don't know what they want to sound like, and then they record it and it's whatever the engineer thinks it should sound like.
So when you record your own drums, a lot of times communicating that to the producer is really difficult. How do you communicate that to the producer in a way that they will actually honor what you want as a drummer?
Well, see, like this is, I would say, our band and my band. So this is what I want,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And Artie, the guy who produced it, he plays guitar in the band with Carmine and I.
Mm-hmm.
So he's played with me. He knows how loud it is, and he knows my attitude, and just trying to kick the shit out of everything, and so he knows that. So he gets it, he gets it right away. But I just tweak it a little bit. So you know what? Crank the bass drum up a little bit more, and do this and do that and do that. So with other things, if it's a session kind of thing, I
Hmm.
can't really call all the shots for the drums because they have something in mind. So I'm open to that. That's okay. But
Okay.
this and the other thing a lot of guys mix is they don't put the bass drum up. Bass drum's too low. Um, Listen to this album, the bass drum's in there, kicking
Hmm.
the bass. Same thing with Last in Line records, and that's important. It's because a lot of guys are into the snare drum thing. I'm
Mm.
here to tune four or whatever it's doing. I mean, imagine Led Zeppelin without the bass drum up in the mix.
Right.
Immigrant song, bop, bop, with no bass drum.
Right.
So bass drum's a big part of the music. So a lot of
Well,
guys run into that.
speaking of that, your Kill Devil Hill work sound, your drum sound for that record, well, those records sounded really good. Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. That was first record was Warren Riker,
Hmm.
who worked with Rex Brown from Pantera. He was the bass player in the band.
Hmm.
He recommended Warren, so Warren got a great, fantastic sound on the drums, and the album overall is really heavy, and he's got a good sound on it. Second album was I don't even remember who did the
Then
second album. Uh, that one sounds good too. I don't know if we did it ourselves. I can't. I don't know. But like with that band, Rex Brown's got a sound. He's got a pretty badass bass sound and growling and low bottom end, and he knows what he wants to sound like too, and I know what I want to sound like. So um, it's easier for the producer to take that and get a good mix on.
well, I noticed this big significant sound or a change in your sound during the World War III record. To me, that's a monumental record. I think it's amazing. You and Jimmy Bain are probably one of the best rhythm sections in the history of rock and roll.
Thanks.
And as I understood it, you recorded your drums in another room upstairs, but the mics were actually kind of open, and you only used a few mics. Is that correct?
God, I, shit, I don't know. I can't even that.
Sure.
It sounds right. It sounds right. That was Mike Slammer who produced that,
Hmm.
and that was a fluke because Jimmy called me and said, "Hey, I'm in this band, man. You'd fit perfect in this band." Oh, really? So he sent me some tracks, and I went, "Wow, this is really good. This is cool." And I had to learn them really quick, and then we went into some studio, and that sounds like something we did. So I don't can't remember that. I should be taking pictures, for all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, recording a
But
lot of it.
that's a great album. Mike Slammer did a great job. Yeah. And the drums are up front.
Well, I
Same
love your
same
intro.
like the Humanizer.
Oh,
The
yeah, no kidding.
drums are fucking boom right up front. That was Mac who did that. It got fantastic sound. So
Well, also like your song "Drive Me Crazy," your use of triplets
oh
for the
yeah.
dude. You are the king of triplets. Can you talk to me a little bit why you love triplets so much?
Um, it's just certain riffs. I like to develop. I'm only one bass drum. I don't play two bass drums. So that's triplets are easier to get them faster. Da 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 boom boom ba da 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 boom ba da 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 boom. And I don't know. I just feel what I do is to come up with something, and then I'll go, that's cool, and I'll keep practicing it and practicing it until it becomes part of me, and I know I can throw it in anywhere. So there's also similar things with 16th note, that shit. And now I got a different one where I'm just playing it more in the toms. I saw Bonham do it. I went, that's a cool riff. And do it fast. It sounds really cool. So I try to get these licks down so they're part of me. So it's kind of in a tool belt of different licks you can throw in, never be without some sort of fill or whatever. So, but I feel all this stuff. I don't just throw stuff in these songs. I get in when I record a song. This goes way back from Sabbath to Dio and all the bands. Get into the song like almost like painting it.
Hmm.
I don't play on top of the song. I like to play inside the song.
Right.
Make it like a real part rather than keeping time and beats and stuff like that. So that's just the way I hear it. I smoked a lot of pot during the day. Not anymore, but back in the early days. Holy Diver was all fucking pot.
Yeah. Holy smoke.
Ronnie, me, and Jimmy Bain. Vivian didn't. I think he got a contact eye. He was always in the room.
Well, I gotta say, the first time I met Ronnie, it was in the back of the tour bus, and I was with Tracy in the back, and he lit up this gigantic fatty. So
Yeah.
he was just like, oh, it was funny.
Yeah.
It didn't seem to phase him, but really relaxed
We
him
smoked a lot of pot. Then eventually I started studying computers and shit in
yeah.
the early 2000s, but I couldn't remember what I read. I was reading it going, then I'm sitting there going, what the hell did I just read? Like, my memory was like, so I had to go back and reread it, pay attention. So then I thought, I'm going to stop smoking. So I haven't smoked in 20 something years.
Awesome.
I think I'm naturally high, and in my world's in color, and I see things differently from all that pot smoking. I didn't do any other major drugs.
Okay.
I didn't drink. I don't drink a little bit of beer here and there. That's it.
Oh wow. Okay.
Now I'm naturally buzzed.
Well, no, but it's like talking quickly about your triplets. At one time, you released a lesson about the use of triplets that you could download for a while. Do you think you'll post that again?
I don't even know where that is.
Okay. Well, I have a
what?
copy.
You can email it to me.
Okay.
I do every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time on Vinny Appice official Facebook. I do this show, and people write in questions too. And my girlfriend, we call her Lala Lollipop. That's how she's known on the show. And she reads me the questions because the screen's too far away. And some people go, well, how do you do that? What's a good foot exercise? How can I get those triplets down? And I got fortunately, very strong foot. It's fast, and because I never played double bass, So I, first thing I ever practiced was the triplet on the foot, like John Bonham, Good Times, Bad Times. My brother actually was using that even before Bonham, in some of the records he did because he started earlier. And that's a great foot exercise. That, boom, boom, back, do 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 da, that one. And then that boom boom that boom. And I just practiced the shit out of those. Yeah.
Well, isn't Carmine a pretty big influence on Bonham at the time?
Yeah. Because Carmine was kind of out first, and then Bonham listened to him and all that stuff. And then Carmine actually got John Bonham a deal with Ludwig Drums.
Okay.
Once they started getting a buzz, Carmine got John the maple kit that he used.
Okay.
And at one point, Bonham was using double bass, and they were opening for the Vanilla Fudge back in the late 60s. So Zeppelin would go on first, and Bonham with a double maple kit. Then they take his kit down, and Carmine had the same kit right behind him, the same drums. So it's pretty funny.
Do you know why? But do you know why Bonham didn't continue using double bass?
Yeah, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant said it was too busy.
Oh, okay.
They didn't like it. They'd like them to play one bass drum.
Did you ever see him play double bass?
No.
Okay.
I don't think there's any footage of him playing double bass.
No, I've only seen the maple kit, the double bass maple kit, and that's all I've seen. So.
Yeah. So at one point he was playing double bass. Interesting. So,
well, no, but I just love your creative use of triplets, and I think it's kind of an underrated lick. But you do a triplet rough, you do even triplets, and then
I love rough.
And you do a galloping. Triplets, yeah.
Then there's also on the Holy Diver album, beginning of Straight Through the Heart. There's that intro to Straight Through the Heart. They're all triplets, but they might not sound like triplets because they're replacement triplets. Boom.
Okay.
It's all in time. It's like going, just like doing that, but replacing them. And then we did an effect where I went from high tom all the way down to low tom, then doubled it going low tom up to the high tom, and then we put them together and panned them this way.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's like, whoa. Okay. So it sounds like an effect. If I just did the fill, it would just sound like the fill. This made it special, So so triplets like that. There's so many different ways you can do these things,
Well, backing up a little bit, why do you not play double bass?
Well, because Carmine went over to double bass. He started on single bass. And then at one point, I got another bass drum and I played it. And I guess I didn't like it at that point. And, I thought, well, Carmine's doing all this stuff. He's been using it for years now. I'm just going to stick with one bass drum, And then seeing how some of these drummers with double bass are amazing, I just thought, I'm going to stay with one bass drum, not to do the double bass drum thing. And that kept my foot strong.
Okay.
That one foot. Actually, my right leg, my calf is bigger than the left leg.
Really?
You put on tight pants, the right leg is getting them back off. It's harder to get off than the left leg because the muscle built up so much.
That's awesome. So about 2014, you started using sawtooth drums. Can you tell me a little bit about why you switched to sawtooth and tell me about your current setup?
Yeah, it's I was using the D drum before that, and they got me a clinic at this place in Thousand Oaks, California, and it was called GoDPSmusic.com. And they told me, well, he kind of does a live feed and an in-person clinic with an audience. Really? Back then, God, what year was that? It might have been 2010. There weren't many live feeds going on. This whole thing didn't really take off yet. So, but I'm always up for a challenge. Okay, whatever. So I went there and I met Joe Fuco, who owns the place, and all the crew, and Kevin and his wife. Everything was really, really cool, but I didn't know what they were doing. So basically, I was doing a clinic with some cameras on me that were feeding over to Facebook. Okay, that's cool. So I met them, and then we got along so good. We went up again, had a meeting, and Joe Fuco is a really, really good drummer, great drummer. And so he had guitars, and they make basses, they make amps. He's got it covered. Back then, he was just starting. He didn't have drums. So he said, I want to do a drum line too. And if you want to come over, we'll take good care of you. He'd help design the stuff and promote it. So I thought, what a great opportunity. So I went over to Sawtooth, and Joe and I worked together. And the first kit I used was called the Command Series, which is up there and up on the ceiling there. And not on the ceiling, but it's up on the top shelf. And those were poplar wood. Before the pandemic, you can get the whole kit with 3 tom-toms, snare drum, 24-inch bass drum. It was like $500.
Wow.
$499. Yeah, it was really good. And they're made good. Then they're not made as good as these. But I used those for like 4 years, and kicked ass. I recorded with them. They sounded great. I played live with Last in Line with them. And so I was happy with that. And then we designed some drum cases that has an extra zipper if you want to put more heads in there for spare heads. Zips closed, and we designed that. And stick bag didn't come out. Still working on it, but so I was very involved with them. And then when I started using the drums, I'd make suggestions like, this is not holding good, or this needs improvement. So it was a really nice opportunity to be able to do that. And then about a year and a half ago, he came out with this. These are not these are hickory drums. Beautiful
Okay.
drum. Can you see them? I can't.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They look like a
Beautiful.
flat
This
black
color.
though.
No, they're not flat black. Jack Black. I don't have a flashlight. Let me put this light on, see if you can see it better. They look flat black, but they're actually purple in there. There's brown in there. There's all that stuff in
Is
there.
that what they refer to as the satin dark chocolate?
Yes.
Okay.
I got diabetes, so I don't say dark chocolate. I go that it's like the finish is like dark chocolate, Hershey syrup, chocolate cake. I shouldn't say that. And then they make the drums up there, a 7.5-inch snare drum. It's a beast.
Okay.
Sounds great. So this is they came out with this, and then I got a couple of the drums, and because of the shipping thing going on back then, we couldn't get the rest of the kit. So finally, I think at the beginning of the year, I got the rest of the kit. So I got 10-inch, 12-inch, 13, 14 rack, 16 and 18
Okay.
on the floors, and a 24 by 14 bass drum. And these sound fantastic. I mean, they're so warm and big sound, like a lot of sustain on them, and they're beautiful drums. And then the hardware, this stuff here is Chromacast. That's the same company, kind of. These are
Okay.
Sawtooth. Chromacast makes stuff. It's all owned by Joe. And one lever that you can go up and down or twist back and forth, which is cool because live, if anything moves, you go, I got to raise that and twist it. One shot, boom,
Oh,
and
fantastic.
they hold up great. And I use the Chromacast foot pedal, which there's one over there. So that's how I got to know these guys, and we became really, really good friends. And he takes good care of me, and promote the drums by using them, and that he's sponsoring the Facebook Live. It's called Behind the Kit every Tuesday, 4 p.m. And getting a great response with it. So these just gorgeous, these drums, beautiful.
Well, the promo video you did for the Hickory set, that first Hickory set you had that is out on promo right now, it sounds amazing. Just sounds beautiful.
Which one? The silver drums?
No, it's a natural wood.
Oh, okay. That's the other one. Yeah, this comes in natural, like maple color too,
Okay,
with
because
a shine. These are flat.
okay.
These look meaner.
I totally look like
So
you.
if they look meaner, that's me. The other ones are gorgeous, but I wasn't crazy about it for me.
Yeah. Well, they're a 6-ply shell with a double 45. Tell me about the shell construction now. Is it hickory or whatever material is the whole way through, or is there a mix?
It's hickory, yeah, all the way through. 6 plies of pure hickory, no filler, no preservatives, no GMO. It's 6 plies, right? And each drum has 45-degree angles on the bearing edge, which at first I thought, well, what does that mean? Then it was explained. Most drums have an edge, and then it goes like that, like that. And there's a bearing edge.
Yeah.
These drums are like a triangle on the top. So the head sits on there and allows it to sit really, really straight, and it gives it a lot of tone. So, these lugs are all solid steel and die-cast hoops.
Okay.
You take the hoop off, it weighs a ton. It's like really, really well made, So it's got a great sound because of the double, bearing edge, top and bottom.
Do you know if that double 45 peak is in the center, closer to the outside or the inside?
I think it's right in the middle.
Okay. All right.
I could be wrong, but I would think it would be right in the middle.
Are the shells made to his spec somewhere else, or are they made in house?
No, they're made in China, of course.
Okay.
Like everything else. I'll show you some. So you're never shown
Yeah,
before.
we get a
This
tour of
here.
the house, man. It's cool.
That's John Bonham's drumstick.
Well,
I
I
don't know.
can't see it.
Hang on. No, that's not. What the fuck? Where's the camera in this thing? There it is.
Oh, the
This is
drumstick.
John. That's his drumstick. That's your reflection in the glass.
Yeah.
This is his drumsticks, and it's used.
Where did you get
He
that?
played like this. He played like this. He played with the tip. I don't play with the tip. I play the other way.
Right.
But he right here it says John Bonham in script. That's all it says.
Where did you get that?
I got that a long time ago. In Europe, I think in Spain, this girl I met said, "Hey, you want this?" I said, "What is it?" John Bonham's drumstick. This was in the 80s, so Bonham was still alive.
Okay.
So I said, "Yeah." So I took it and I kept it in my drawer. Actually, it was in the sock drawer for years. It was just sitting in my drawer. And then when I bought this house, you know, I got a divorce and all that stuff. And so this house, I thought, you know what, I'm going to get it mounted. That's so special, that thing.
Completely.
So there it is. That stick, I verified it with Jason, his son. So we've done, we run into each other here and there. I said, listen, I got the drumstick. I took a picture of it too. And I said, it's just got John Bonham written in script. There's no name in it. Is that his stick or is this something else? He goes, no, that's it. I showed him the picture. So he kind of verified that that's really his dad's stick.
That's really cool.
Pretty cool. And then I got, excuse me, Ian Pace. We did a rock camp together. I do a lot of these rock fantasy camps.
Mm-hmm.
And Ian was a guest. So I watched him play. It was great standing there watching him. And then I said, can I have your sticks? He goes, yeah. Gave me the sticks. I think he signed them. I got to look. And that's it. The only other sticks I'd like to have is Buddy Rich.
Okay.
That's it. I'm not a collector that much of.
Yeah. But you're not using Vic Firth anymore. So who are you using?
I'm using the Chromacast. What is this? Chromacast makes the sticks.
Okay.
It's a 5B stick. And I'm using it from Sawtooth Chromacast. Chromacast makes them. Get confused with the company. And they're standard 5B, and I play with the butt end. So that works for me. Vic Firth were great. They made such amazing sticks, But he offered me sticks too. I said, let's keep it in-house, keep it in the family, And he makes some great sticks too. So
that's fantastic.
Overall, check their website. They make guitars. They make cajones. Actually, Joe gave me a cajon. I'm not one to play percussion so much. The cajon is sitting back there, and on top of it's my wireless keyboard. I never play it. I said, it's a table now.
I'm sure he appreciates that.
Yeah. Because he plays it. He plays it good too.
Yeah. You got to use your triplets on that.
Yeah.
So your standard setup we're looking at pretty much your standard setup, but I got to say during the Heaven and Hell tour, you had the most amazing drum setup, that Silver Kit in particular.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
that was ridiculous.
Will we ever see a set like that again from you, or
no.
It's just not practical?
No, what it was is this all started when I joined Sabbath in the beginning in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
I got a call. Hey, you want to come meet Tony Iommi at the hotel? They're looking for a drummer. We heard about you. And I was really, the only band I played with was Rick Derringer. So, that was not really big, but I said, sure, I'll come down. I met Tony, went down to the hotel. We hit it off. And I had Derringer albums and a band called Axis, which was a 3-piece band. And Andy Johns produced it. So the drums sounded good. Tony heard that album. He really liked it. He had the album with him. He said, yeah, this is good. This is good. And so Tony invited me to come down to play with the band. So I went down the next day. I met Ronnie for the first time. He's a butler, and Jeff Nichols, the keyboard player, and of course Tony. And go, what do you want to play? I wasn't a big Sabbath fan. I was like, I heard Neon Nights on the radio 2 weeks before, and I said to myself, "This, the new singer is amazing. Who is that? Ronnie James Dio. Wow." You know, I knew he was in Rainbow with Man on Silver Mountain and all that stuff. But I wasn't a fan of everybody, which is probably better because I went in as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had one bass drum, Ludwig bass drum, no head on the front, maple kit, 14-inch, and 4 toms with no bottom heads. So the kit was so small, and 3 cymbals, which I still have 3 cymbals. So when they brought the drums into the rehearsal, there's my little kit, and there's 4 stacks of Tony's amps, 4 stacks of Ampeg geezers amps. Like, oh shit. So after we played, they liked me, and Tony said, "Can you make the kit bigger? Can you play double bass? Make it bigger." I said, "I don't really play double bass, but I immediately called Ludwig Drums, and let me plug this back in. I said to Bill Ludwig III, I said, "Bill, I'm joining Black Sabbath. I need drums. I need more drums." So he sent me over some another tom. I had 3 in the front, then another floor here, and then 2 aerial drums up here. Boom, 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 boom. And that made it bigger. Then each tour, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. With Dio, I brought it into Dio. And then finally on the Heaven and Hell project, I got a kit from DW, so it was with DW, and it had 4 aerial toms, 3 toms, 2 floors. It was pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
But then the last tour, I went fucking crazy and there were like, how many was it? It was 2 big drums behind me, a bass drum behind me. There was 21 pieces of total of the kit. And I had them up here and had them up here. And then I used to rock them. I could pull them this way. There were 2 drums, hit it, and then throw it, and it would rock back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
It was the greatest effect for $10. I used to get a bungee cord, thick truck bungee cord at a truck stop.
Yeah.
Put it at the bottom, put them in eye bolts. We put them in eye bolts. And I was able to pull this thing down from all the way up here. There were 2 toms. I hit them, boom, boom. You could hit the pop, 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 boom, 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 and throw it. And the drums would go like this. They wouldn't hit me in the head. We adjusted it. And everybody thought the drums were going to fall down. And even chicks noticed in the audience. Wow, I was going to run up and catch your drum. I said, nah, nah, it's not falling. So that kit was ridiculous, but I wound up playing up here. I wound up hitting it back here. All the ways you're not supposed to hit with your shoulder. And then at the end of the tour, I couldn't lift my right arm. I had to go get shoulder surgery.
Mm-hmm.
This one still hurts a little bit, but this one was dead in the water. And I was, wow, scary, So I did that, did all the rehab, and I made a comeback. Now it's strong as ever. So I won't use something like that again. And then the kit wound up in my garage, and then I got a call from a broker. They wanted to buy the kit. So it got sold to a German rock museum in Germany.
Oh,
and
that's where it's at.
Yeah, it's great, because what am I going to do with 21-piece kit? We're not playing arenas, and people are already seeing it. So we packed it all up. I actually, it was so big, I had a different tech help me, and actually my girlfriend helped me too. And we're looking at this big poster going, how do we set this up? Which drum is that? And then there's so many pieces, we couldn't even, it took us 2 days to figure out how to set it up. And my tech on the tour, Andre, would do it in an hour,
Mm-hmm.
because we had to set it up, and then I numbered it. This goes here, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until we got to 21. And then it shipped in cases, and it shipped off to Germany. So I'm going to find out where it is in next time I go to Germany, I'd love to see it.
Oh,
So it was one of the biggest kits out there. Besides Terry Bozzio and Hurt.
right.
Yeah,
It's an amazing set, and I also loved how you constructed your overhead tom frames, the frames for the drums on the sides.
yeah, yeah.
That was
Those
that
were,
was
yeah. DW made them for me,
okay.
and then when we had everything, we set it up at DW's factory, the warehouse in California, all different configurations, what looked best. And then we came up with the one I used, and it was an amazing kit. Sounded great, beautiful paint job. It was looked like chrome finish, but
Hmm.
it was paint. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
and it's one of the few kits that I make DW drill right into the shell for the mounts. They go, well, we don't like to do that. I said, I can't stand those hoops, those hoop things. You hit them, they move. It adds more space to when you try to get the toms closer, they bang into each other. So I gotta have the mounts right on the drum like these.
Hmm.
That's those mounts are right on the drum. You
Yeah.
know, way stronger, and let's make that big of a difference for the music we played.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
At one point, did you use Slingerland as well?
yeah. I went from my history was Ludwig, then Slingerland, and then I followed my brother to Slingerland. Then I used Tama. He didn't.
Hmm.
Then from Tama, I used them for a long, long time. Then D drum. Then
Or
these
DW
guys.
was DWD drum then these guys.
Oh, DW, yeah, DW, D drum, and then these guys.
So when I saw your Slingerland set, you had overhead toms there as well. I didn't think they offered an overhead tom stand. Did you use Ludwig mounts?
No, they were different kinds of mounts that I don't know what I used. Yeah. I think I used stands and two poles at the end of it.
Okay.
Two different stands, yeah. Then Tama they were for orchestras. They had this wheels, and then two poles in the top, and you can put like a timpani, not a timpani, some sort of a percussion
Hmm.
instrument up there or something. They had the right stands. So I used those for a while. Then DW made music, so
Okay.
they could do everything. Yeah.
Now with Tama, didn't you use Art Star primarily? Art Star 2s, I mean?
No, I used Superstar.
Superstar. Okay. Yeah, because they were just beautiful, amazing sets there as well. But you used the stilt
Yeah.
toms too. Did you like the stilt? Where you got that?
Still Stan.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah, it was something cool when you make them lean in and it looked good, something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good at the time.
You've been with so many companies. In your mind, what makes a good drum company?
Uh, well, first of all, the product, it's got to be for the music I play. It's got to be sturdy. It's got to be strong, and it's got to sound good. Some drums sound different than others, but the heads have major impact on the sound. Obviously, what kind of heads you use, and then support. Where hey, I'm going on tour. Back in the day, why don't you do an ad or two?
Hmm.
Back then, Modern Drummer or the drum magazines that back then existed, and they supply you with what you need. As an artist, and you're working all the time, you need that support. So first comes the sound, and the strength of the whole kit and the stands and all that stuff. So and then people to communicate with while you're doing your thing. So
Okay.
that makes a good company. That's why these guys Joe is so amazing because
Hmm.
I call him up on the phone. Hey, I need some more sticks, and I go over his house. He's 2 hours away, but we go over his house. He's always wanted to film new video, and he's got a little studio there. And we do different projects in there, and he puts clips out and still working on stuff. So he's just proactive in promotion and keeping the website interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
putting up different
fantastic.
things. I do this stream every week. Michael Badio does a guitar one on Thursdays, same time, and it's really proactive. You know, he's right on top of it. Always has ideas. And very creative.
Well, as we're wrapping up here, I'm going to fire off some questions. So we'll do quick answers on these, okay?
Okay.
When you were playing with Lennon, John Lennon, what's your
Mhm.
favorite memory of working with John Lennon?
Um, well, we met him at the Record Plant Studios. We had a room there to rehearse, so we were there all the time. And we were upstairs, and Jimmy Iovine, who you know the name, uh, called us. He was John's producer.
Okay.
Said, "We need some hand claps. Can you guys come downstairs to do hand claps?" He didn't tell us what it was for. So there were 9 of us. We had 4 horn players, keyboard, singer. We go down, we walk in, and we see John Lennon. We go, "Holy shit." I was like 16 years old. So now you put the headphones on. Now he's talking to you. You know, you heard his voice so many times. You go, "Oh my God." And he's talking to us. And we did hand ups on Whatever Gets You Through the Night. That's me and my band on that record. And then we met him quickly, and we went back upstairs. We didn't bother him with, "Hey, can we take a picture?" Hey, we didn't do that fanboy stuff. Well, went back upstairs. And a couple days later, we're rehearsing. All of a sudden, he walks in our rehearsal room. Because he probably said, "Who were those guys?" He came up, listened to it. It's a good band. You know, it's kind of played funk rock and 4 horn players.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really tight, and it was good. And then he sat down. He used to come up all the time. There's a pool table there. We play pool. I smoked a couple of joints with him. And then one time we did talking about Italian food, and I told John, my mother makes this. My mother and grandmother makes the real Italian stuff. And you go, "Oh, okay." So I said, "I'll have her make you some." So a couple of days later, I bring in a tray of lasagna, and I see John. I go, "John, this is for you. It's from my mother." And he was, "Oh, thank you. Oh, cool." He took it. And then about a month later, my brother Carmine's playing with Rod Stewart at Madison Square Garden, like 6 nights back then.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a party in Manhattan, and my parents went. Carmine invited my parents, and at the party was John Lennon, and my mother sees John. She goes, "Oh, look, Charlie, that's my dad. There's John Lennon." So Carmine brought him over, introduced him, said, "This is Vinny's mom, who you worked with, and this is my mom." So my mother was talking to John, and they're hanging out a little bit. At the end of the conversation, she goes, "Do you have my pan for the lasagna?" So he didn't have it. So she was disappointed. Like she thought he might have brought it to this big party to give Vinny's mother's pan back. So that's a classic.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So that's funny. But he was cool, man. And then later on with Black Sabbath, we needed to record a song while we were on tour. So 1980,
Mm-hmm.
it was the Heaven and Hell tour. I substituted for Bill Ward, and they got John Lennon's house. This is after he died,
Okay.
to record in for 2 days, 2 nights. It was owned by Ringo now. So this beautiful mansion in England with the gardens, the whole thing. The garden hedges were shaped in dinosaurs, like T-Rex, big T-Rex hedge. So that's where he did Imagine.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the room, go, "Holy shit." So when we check in, I get John's room. Of all the people that checked in, I got John's room. Like,
That's awesome.
weird. But I thought, he just died. I don't want to stay in there. It's kind of weird for me. So I got a different room. I should have stayed in there. So I punked out. So in the closet, you open the closet, fucking platinum Beatle albums and swag and everywhere you look. Even Tony and Geezer
Wow.
and Ronnie, like, "Wow, look at this. Beatles. Oh my God." And that's where we wrote and recorded the Mob Rules.
Oh,
for
okay.
the movie Heavy Metal. And that was one where the drums were down here. There's a big wooden staircase going up the entry. And I played down there with a TV monitor, and the guys were in another room, and we had cameras. So
Wow.
it's a different version than it's on the Mob Rules album.
Okay.
That was in L.A. So yeah, I'm gonna do a book one day, but
You got to do it soon.
I'm forgetting everything.
Well, with that, thank you so much for your time. It was such a pleasure to talk to
Thank
you
you,
again.
Paul. All right, you take care, and thanks for the interview, dude.
Thank you. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody. Don't forget to watch me Tuesday, 4 p.m. Facebook. Okay. I'm
Bye.
gonna press the leave button. Take care.
The Drumming News Network is a daily news site focusing on the interests of drummers with new product release information, artist updates, and much more. In essence, all things drums, keeping even the busiest of people up to date. Listen to the podcast through various podcast hosting sites and catchers, or watch it on our YouTube channel. Don't be left behind. Subscribe today. This has been a production of the Drumming News Network. All rights reserved. All media is owned by the respective parties. This episode cannot be distributed or copied in any form. Please visit drummingnewsnetwork.com daily to keep up on all the latest drumming news. Copyright 2023.
Okay.
All right.
Everybody can get to look at my drums while I'm doing that.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, these are beautiful new kit. I can't really see very good on it. This is at my house, my studio. And so I do a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. On Facebook, Vinny Appice Official, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I do it from here, and I play to some music and tell stories and teach a little bit, you know. So
It's great.
It's fun. Yeah, it kept me in shape during the pandemic and all that.